In this episode, we will build the heart of our project, the 252 nuclear power plants. Yo, hello everyone! Welcome back to Pronto Play and Project Nuclear Mayhem in Satisfactory. This project aims for setting up a factory network to provide uranium fuel rods to 252 nuclear power plants at once, which is currently the maximum possible with uranium, while recycling everything to have zero waste and having a power output of at least 630 gigawatts in the end. In the last episode we finished the layout of our aluminum factory that puts out 675 aluminum casings as well as 200 alkyd aluminum sheets, and on top of that 400 batteries per minute. While 378 of the aluminum casings will be necessary for heat sinks in the recycling process later, the rest of the output is just a cherry on top. Especially the batteries will come in very handy in order to step up our logistics game, because they give us access to drones. And with these, transportation of particular parts or resources that would otherwise take much time and effort to set up will be a piece of cake now. Now today, the plan is to take a little but very important detour from our factory plan here for two reasons. On the one hand, sometimes when some of the modular builds of this project take ages to set up, I tend to run out of gas in the middle of the build because there's just no light at the end of the tunnel. On the other hand, we now have prepared so many different parts already that it is about time to start bringing them together. This is why today we will start to take care of what will be the headquarter of our network right here north of the Rocky Desert. We will start our Nuclear Mayhem headquarter that will contain, but is not limited to, a big storage facility, multiple factory setups that will take care especially of the main steps of our production process, as well as the 252 nuclear power plants. And especially these I am really excited for to see. So, how big will our headquarter building be? Well, it has to fit 252 of these, which I intend to build on one single floor. And we will actually group them into 4 equal groups of 63 power plants. This way we have the right distribution of nuclear waste for the non-fissile uranium and plutonium pellet productions respectively. But we will get to the details later. For now, let me prepare a concrete foundation that will be big enough for our 252 power plants for the start. Okay, I think I found the correct spacing for our nuclear power plants. Each power plant now has an 8x8 foundation for its own, which would give us enough space, I imagine, also for figuring out the logistics and everything else necessary. But they will be a little bit higher actually on this height here. At a later stage, this was just for figuring out the foundations, but especially for factory buildings, this will give us so much more space. For example, look at a manufacturer in comparison for a nuclear power plant. It's just ridiculous how big these power plants are, and I think this will be a very impressive sight to see in the very end. Anyways, this foundation now is 32 foundations wide, and if we take 8 foundations per power plant and we will add 63 in one row, in the end this factory will be 504 foundations long into this direction. Damn, I better get going. Seems my estimation was a little bit off, because we reached the border of the map already after 63 of our foundation blueprints, which is exactly half of what we need in length. You can see our concrete factory over here, and yeah, seems like my estimation was a little bit off, but that means if we just split our rows of 4 in half and basically make 8 lines of power plants, can see them way over there in the distance, then this should fit here very, very well. And I also double checked already, we are still way off the world map border in this direction, so we should be able to keep the length of the foundations as 252 and double the width of our factory from 32 foundations into 64. Alright, the basic foundation for the first level is set out. And just in case you're wondering why there's so much water still visible and there are these gaps in between the foundations, this is because we will need around 500 water extractors in order to cool down our nuclear power plants. And you can also already notice the game performance has drastically decreased since I placed all these foundation. I also already started the second level because this one here is just for the water extractors, and then in between we can think about another production floor. But the nuclear power plants are really planned to sit on this floor here. So this one here will be a plain concrete foundation. Oh, I ran out of fuel. This one here will be a plain concrete foundation. And I'm really worried about the game's performance once I laid down this one, because yeah, I already set the video graphic settings to medium from high to ultra, but it's still kind of laggy. I don't know if restarting will do the trick, but yeah, I'm really worried now how this project will continue. But yeah, let's see. First, I have to finish the remaining foundations. Okay, a lot of time has passed now, because I was struggling to find the solution for the performance issues. I even deleted some of the older buildings that are now obsolete because, for example, the aluminum factory that we had in the Dune Desert. I don't know if it's because I also created multiple save file backups. I don't know if it's still present in this one here. But since we have now the aluminum factory in the sky, over there, in this direction, that is producing excess aluminum casing and alkyd sheets, we don't have any further aluminum production necessary for the moment at least. So yeah, I tried to remove the amount of objects. Didn't help at all. But then I tried to update the driver for my graphics card. And this actually did the trick tremendously. I think now even this save file is on ultra. Yes. No, not reset to default, but it's running again smooth as a freshly powdered baby bottom. And we can build stuff as much as we want. Performance is flawless again, and I'm really happy because I was worrying that, yeah, the save file, since it's a little bit older, started in update 7, now it's update 8, that it came to its, limit because of update 8 being experimental still and stuff, but seems like we can continue. And you can see that I have laid out already a little bit of the second concrete floor. So let me finish this gap here, and once this is filled, I come back to you. And what a good thing that we actually built up this concrete factory right here, so close by the headquarter facility that we are just building right now. So if I run out of concrete, which I did multiple times now as you can imagine, I can simply come back here and fill everything up. Alright, back to work. Alright, basic foundations for the first step are laid out completely. In the end, on top of this concrete desert here, 252 nuclear power plants will be placed. And to be honest, I'm very glad that the driver update actually fixed the performance issue of this game, because after this, the setup really, or the time for the setup necessary was cut in half because the game processed so fast again. And yeah, it actually almost made fun laying out all these foundations. Now, if you watched the series from the start, you might remember that we put all these parts aside and put it into this little storage facility right next to our big storage center in the Dune Desert. And these are all the necessary parts that we need for building 252 nuclear power plants. Now I will let the concrete remain here, because due to our concrete factory right next to the headquarter facility that we're just building, there's no need to actually transport this over there, because by the time we arrive there, the concrete will be already produced over there. But we will take the aluminum alkyd sheet, because I don't think we have stored up enough at our aluminum factory just yet, as well as our supercomputers, some cable, and the heavy modular frames. Everything loaded up. As you can see, all the cable, and it's actually quite the amount of parts. So let me bring this to our construction site really quick. And here we are at Concrete Beach, with all the parts arrived, just right next to the construction site. You can't even see the containers anymore from here, but over there I stored everything that will fill this whole platform with nuclear power plants. And we actually start from here because we already figured out the spacing in between the power plants, and I want to have a point of reference from up here. And the idea is that between each and every nuclear power plant there's a little bit more, always autosave. The idea is that each power plant has 4 blueprinted concrete 4x4s, or basically an 8x8 platform for its own. And in order to achieve this, we have to space them out a little bit over 2 foundations apart from each other. So basically something like this. They are in line. We have to make sure that the pipeline entry is completely in line with the gap in between 2 foundations. And this is 2.5 foundations. And 3 are in place, just 249 to go. It is finally finished. At least the basic structure. Let me just wait until the sun rises again, because in the dark it's very difficult to see, especially underneath here, but also I think the overview is better when we have daylight in the game. But prepare for a sight that I have never seen before in this game. It's so awesome to finally see 252 nuclear power plants in place, and also the purpose of this whole project. Because fueling all these at once is what we are building all the factories for. This concrete factory over here, the rubber factory in the distance, the AI limiter factory on the cruise ship over there, and everything else is just to provide uranium fuel rods to all these nuclear power plants. And here we have 4 identical groups of 63 power plants, and the last 4 over here have to be placed on the very end. Now these aren't connected to anything, nor do they have any water extractors beneath them yet, and this is because I don't know how the definitive layout of this place will be, or how we will continue this place in terms of conveyor belts, recycling and so on. So yeah, this is why we have yet to decide on where to exactly place them in order to connect everything properly. The idea for now is that actually, since we are yet very far away from the map border, that we will place the construction factory and everything else behind the nuclear power plants, and everything can be prepared over there, as well as going back to the factory then for recycling. But yeah, this is just a general idea for now. Maybe it will change. We will see. For now, I'm very happy with the status quo. And it took so long because you cannot blueprint nuclear power plants since they are too big. You cannot blueprint water extractors since they have to be placed on water. And it's such a relief that this step now is finished at the very least. Now I once again want to ask you how we should proceed on this location. Do we build a big building with a storage and factory floors behind the power plants so that our headquarters has the power production basically in the front yard? I also thought about adding floors directly on top and supported with even bigger and taller pillars, but I fear that this could take away the spotlight from the power plants, which definitely are a key aspect of this factory network. Or maybe something completely different even. If you have suggestions or an advice, please share it in the comments below or on Instagram. I would really appreciate it. But after all this building, I actually need to take a break now, but we will definitely continue very soon. Depending on whether or not we have a plan for our HQ, we continue here, or we tackle one of the modular factories that we have yet to build. For example, there's one production site outstanding that needs to produce 60 crystal oscillators per minute. And all that we have to do is to build up some quartz crystal and bring it together with the rubber from this factory, with the AI limiters from this factory. So make sure you don't miss out on the upcoming episodes of the project, and if you enjoyed this build today, I would be very thankful if you liked that video and subscribe to the channel really quick. Despite this being very basic still and needing a lot of cosmetic effort soon, the amount of hours that went into this today is insane. So I would appreciate if you let me know what you think. Any feedback, tips, advices and so on, I'd be thankful for. But that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.